Hello, YouTubers. Hi. So, Sunday teaching day. I wasn't going to make a video today, and I thought, you know what? It's Sunday teaching day. Why wouldn't I make a video? So, I can't remember what the last video I made was. Maybe it was The Past is Not Real. Or one of the other ones. I don't know. The ground state. When you're always at the ground state and you're always in the present. Somebody made a comment on one of my last videos, and I think maybe it was that one. And it's true. The world starts to seem like a movie. Even if somebody is trying to direct energy at you, whether it's not negative or positive, you can let it have an effect or not have an effect, if that makes sense, right? Because when you're at the grounded state and you're in this ever-present field of love, that's all it is, right? You're just if you feel connected and you're aware of everything that's going on around you. You're never in judgment of it, if that makes sense, right? Because you're not interpreting into some kind of cause and effect mentality, right? You are the one creating the reality, right? So regardless of what's being projected at you, you can not respond, doesn't matter. And when you do respond, of course, obviously you want to respond to people if they're talking to you, so you're having a relationship with other awarenesses, or you're just having a relationship with yourself, and you can make that response positive, always being in the present, because you're always grounded and you're always listening to what's being said. If you're not grounded, usually if you're living in the past or the future or some false reality, you won't be able to connect with somebody else or where they're at. So, yeah, not only that, but you're not actively worried about somebody else's path. You can actively teach people these simple principles to where we can connect more profoundly at a deeper level. Right. I mean, for instance, and I was thinking about this earlier, and I kind of got a download. There's kind of three different illusions that we live under, of course: past, future, and some false reality of way that we identify with ourselves that gets projected onto other people. Let's say I'm thinking of myself as less than or greater than or some other illusionary version of how this is just a conductor and I'm breathing out and breathing in, right? And in that way, when you're in your environment, you are naturally grounding out differences in potential. You'll have positive fields and negative fields. So you can get into the active art of just moving energy as it comes to you in your environment without actively trying to control it, if that makes sense. So you're providing kind of a grounding energy, so you're no longer it's hard to describe, right? You're not in conflict with anything that's going on, right? Practicing non-resistance and then aiding your environment in a way to make sure that it's becoming more whole. So this is a problem when we think about money in and of itself. And I've thought about this the other day, and this is something I'll share with you guys. Now, money in and of itself isn't bad, right? It's just a thing. It's like a chair or a car or whatever. But when we use it to pull energy from our environment, and there's no equal exchange there, then it creates this hierarchy that draws, where you've got levels where people have more and less money all the way down in this pyramid scheme. So it creates an imbalance in the body, right? If you guys understand Reiki healing or anything like that, a healer is balancing the energy in the body so that you're grounded. Your vertical column is moving energy. I'm breathing out and breathing in a balanced way to create a balanced energy profile. If you look at the planet as a whole, look at each person as a cell, totally out of balance, right? When you think about what people have available to them, and all of that is just an external manifestation of an internal narcissistic state where, you know, for years and years, people have tried to pull more than they provide. And to get into that natural breathing state as a human being, and to get into a state of non-conflict in the body, you're always breathing out and then breathing in with that same regular motion in a balanced way. You're always creating balance in pretty much everything you do, whether it's, you know, how often you're active versus your rest time, your alone time versus your time spent with other people. All of those things create balance to create a very balanced state of awareness, so that you're always in harmony with everything that you're doing. You know, if you're overeating, you know, it forces you to rest too much. Things like that, right? I mean, you're always balancing the self to create balance in your environment. So, and this is something that I've thought about. How do we create balance economically? Now, I've approached this on my channel before, trading opportunities where you can actually pull money out of the marketplace, and then redistributing that amongst the population. Ultimately, you know, that's going to happen eventually anyway. It doesn't matter, you know, what I do or what anybody else does. The organism has to heal. And in order for it to heal, parts of it that were taking too much will end up losing that, and then parts of it that weren't getting enough energy are going to start gaining more energy. That's a process that will happen naturally over time, because we're getting to the ground state, right? We're moving towards the ground state. The whole organism is moving towards the ground state over the next 7 to 10 years as we move towards the galactic sheet. And so all of these journeys are an individual internal journey that we go through, where we're naturally, if we can, the sooner we can get to the ground state and stay in non-conflict, then you'll be able to ground conflicts, and you will naturally attract or just ground negative energies in your environment to get to the ground state, so you can start to create more readily in your environment. That's the positive action, right? That creative action that has a positive impact on your environment, to pull it back into the ground state. We know not what we will shall be, right? I love that statement. And it's true, right? I mean, we really don't know what we're going to become once we slap to the ground state. We're really going through an evolutionary event where we're moving past timelines, and time is collapsing in ways. There's a lot of manifestation coaching out there, but if somebody feels like they need to charge money to manifest, charge you money to manifest something, that's really not manifestation, is it? Right? If somebody's trying to sell you manifestation, you should be able to teach manifestation and see how, irregardless of whether or not it, you know, I don't need to draw energy from this in order to manifest something. Yeah, manifestation happens naturally in your environment. You get, you just go in the flow, if that makes sense, right? When you're in the flow and you're always in the right place at the right time and creating balance in your life, you're always going to be supported. You're never in a state of lack, but it all comes from here. So I hope that helps. I don't know how else to explain it. There's deep secrets out there as far as the fact that we're always in the present, and that you can actively change your vessel from the quantum state, because the only reason that maybe you even, like, everything is this way, right? So the only thing that I really have sovereignty over is this field, this vessel. And so in order to change something else, you would need permission from that vessel, right? It's a part of yourself. You don't want to try and harm or change something in yourself unless you've got permission there, other than just providing positive, positivity for your environment. Now, there's two sides to the same coin, right? You're trying to provide knowledge for your environment and then get natural feedback from your environment. But and that's breathing naturally, energetically. You see a lot of there's some great channels out there, right? People that do meditation exercises, just simple meditation exercises for their channels, or lots of stuff. I mean, but as long as you're not ever in a state of fear, and there's no reason to be afraid of anything when you think about it. This is something that this is on another note, and this is why fear of what might happen will always pull you into some kind of conflict. You do see a lot of people on YouTube that maybe hide their face or hide their name, and that's nothing. I have nothing. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with that, other than if you feel that there's something out there that can harm you, right? There's lots of, and famous people talk about this all the time. Anybody who's in the public light, you have to come to terms and get to a neutral state with being okay with people recognizing you in public. That's part of it, right? There's no reason to think that it's positive or negative, And I thought about this, and it's understandable, right? There's a lot of people that have gotten used to saying, "Oh, no, I just don't feel like, addressing that at this time." Imagine if you got recognized everywhere you went. It would be positive and negative, because you'd get people that would be like, "Hey, maybe just want to chat you up." But eventually, if too many people want to chat you up everywhere you went, you just kind of in a state where you just didn't want that, then but practicing non-resistance to your environment and being in the grounded state, it really shouldn't ever matter when you think about it. Like, why would I care? People can act the way they want to react. And I mean, eventually, if there was too many people coming out, you could just be at peace, just like, what do you want me to do? But, there's always places that you can go for isolation, Public places are public places. So if people recognize you in a public place, then what are you going to do? I don't know. I'll let you guys think about that one for a while. And make comments on this video. I'd love to hear your comments, because, I love, trying to cover topics that maybe cause deep thought in other people, and making you, maybe if you have something that comes to mind when I'm saying something. A lot of times we'll get internal messages that we receive that's a little bit different than what's being projected, that is actually beneficial to the whole if you put it in the comments, right? Sometimes I'll do that on other people's comments. It's just like, hey, this reminded me of this. And hopefully it triggers something that maybe somebody thinks about. Whether it's maybe, letting go of emotional attachments over time. Emotional attachments in most ways are emotional attachments of being tied to an outcome of somebody else's actions, right? If I have an expectation of somebody to act a certain way and I'm emotionally attached to that, then I am burdened by my own reaction. If somebody doesn't act a certain way, then I might get burdened, right? Because it's like, oh, why did they do that? Oh, poor me, right? And then you fall down the rabbit hole of not being in the present, because now you've been caught in some kind of false reality, because obviously that person didn't act the way that they're a sovereign being. They can act however they want, right? So, yeah. And, when things trigger you, when other people's action trigger you, it is an underlying issue of something that maybe needs to get healed on the inside. Why am I attached to somebody else's action? What do I care what they do, right? All you're doing is just, staying in a state of peace and drinking from the water of life, right? What else could we probably talk about on a Sunday? Let's just pull an oracle card, shall we? Oh, I know. We could do this. Let's just pull one tarot card, and then we'll pull an oracle card to follow up. See what comes through. Oh, that popped out. Six of Swords. Moving from one state of being to another, right? A state of conflict to a state of peace. I think that's pretty adequate for this reading. Yeah. Practicing non-resistance to the energies around you, and just letting people in where they're at, and then allowing illumination to take place, because all of us usually need to hear something different at a different time. You can never know ahead of time usually what's needed, because that would be projecting some kind of image into the future, right? You're always staying present, and as long as you're present, you're always going to be in this state of stillness, moving out of this conflict. It's like the boat is the medium, right? And I love this card. When this card comes up, the boat is you as the medium, and you're changing this is like an alchemist card. You're alchemizing choppy waters into calmer waters. Actually, totally lines up with what I'm saying. You're healing the body. If the body's in conflict, there's more of a field. It's not grounded, right? Grounding yourself is shown to have super beneficial properties, because every time even when you consume food, your body has to break it down, so it has to create conflict, pull things apart, creates a field. Grounding that energy allows you to become a better conductor, to move energy in the body. So let's see what we get for an oracle card. Emotions. I think we need more than one. Emotions are the field, right? The mental is the structure. Think about your train of thought being like a branching circuit in the mind, where the emotional state is the field or the body, that body of emotion, and grounding that state to where you're in control of your emotional states. Because when you're in conflict, right, your emotions are going to go up and down all the time. You won't be able to control them. Believe me, I know. Right? I mean, I can't throw stones about any of this stuff. It's just like you come into knowledge about certain things and understand that at every point in the time and day, you're always just making sure that you're being as present as possible, because you'll start to understand what you need to do. You'll be much more aware of what you're being led to do and what your intuition is telling you. Hope and Celestial Teacher. So I love this Celestial Teacher card. Although it's not sure, it's just it's like a higher awareness, right? You have that light coming in that's allowing you these information downloads. Yeah. And it's almost like a neutral. She almost looks like a bumblebee. Look at her face. Can you guys see it? I don't know. The light's kind of. Yeah, I can't. Well, I mean, from my perspective, when I'm looking in this camera, I don't see her face very well. But, yeah. The throat chakra is lit up. And you've got divine light coming down. It's almost like wings coming off of her head. Yeah, it's kind of cool. And hope. The hope card is kind of just like a warm light card, right? Love you guys. What else can I say? And this is something that I've thought about. You know, when you're always in that present state, you're always in a state of love for everything that's going on around you. You're never in conflict with it. You're just grounding things out to have a good time. Yeah. So, love you guys. Have a wonderful day. This has been the Sunday teaching for Sunday of this Sunday. I don't know. Maybe I'll put a Celestial Teacher thumbnail on this video. Oh. Catch you guys later.